I never told my sister I took the blame for Dad's arrest because she still believes he was protecting us, not the other way around. And if she knew the truth, I don't think she could love him the same way again. I don't even know how to begin this, but maybe writing it down is the only way I'll ever stop carrying it around like a secret cancer. I've never told anyone the full story. Not my friends, not my partner, not even my therapist, and definitely not my sister. So here it goes. I grew up in Columbia, Missouri, a neighborhood where the houses all looked the same and the people pretended they were too good for problems. We weren't. Our problems just stayed behind closed doors. My dad, Frank, ran a landscaping business. He was the kind of guy people trusted too easily. He was charming with neighbors, always helped old ladies carry groceries, always smiled at teachers. People said things like, hard-working single dad, or doing his best for those kids. That's all bullshit. Behind the front door, he was a different man. Quick temper. Quiet rages that turned violent fast. My little sister Riley didn't see it like I did. She was 5 years younger, always trying to please him. She had blonde hair and soft eyes, and he treated her like gold. Me? I was a punching bag. Not literally every time, but enough to know when to stay quiet. Enough to know how to lie for him when the cops came around the neighborhood asking about things he might have seen. Enough to know which of his friends not to look at directly. My mom left when I was 12. She checked out long before that, but when she actually walked out, it was over nothing big. Just another shouting match about a bounce check. That night, she packed a bag and was gone before sunrise. Riley cried for days. Dad told her mom had been cheating, that she didn't love us. I knew that was a lie. I had seen the way Mom flinched when he walked into a room. I had seen the bruises. I had heard her whisper on the phone, "He's going to kill me one day." I also saw the gun under the floorboards. I wasn't stupid. After Mom left, things got worse. Dad started bringing around guys who made me nervous. The kind who didn't smile. They'd sit in the garage for hours with the door halfway down. Sometimes I'd hear yelling. Sometimes I'd smell weed. Sometimes I'd hear things I wasn't supposed to. I learned to keep my mouth shut. Then one night, when I was 17, everything cracked. It was Riley's 12th birthday. We had cheap chocolate cake from the grocery store. She was smiling. I actually thought, just for a second, that maybe we'd have a peaceful night. Then the back door slammed. We heard yelling loud and ugly. I stepped into the living room and saw Dad holding a man by his collar, screaming about stolen money and backstabbing pieces of shit. The guy was bleeding from his nose, his face swollen like he'd already taken a few punches. Dad threw him against the wall hard enough that a picture shattered. Riley started crying in the kitchen. I pulled her into my room and told her to lock the door and not come out. Then I grabbed my hoodie and slipped out the back. I ran 2 blocks to the gas station and used the payphone. I wore gloves. Called the cops. Didn't give my name. Just told them there was a man tied up in a garage at 9120 Birch Street. Said there were drugs. Guns. Told them they needed to hurry. I got back home before the sirens showed up. Dad didn't see me sneak back in. I went straight to Riley's room. She was shaking, clutching her stuffed bear. I held her until the lights started flashing red and blue through the window. Cops kicked the front door in. They found the guy duct-taped in the garage, barely conscious. Found a gun wrapped in a dish towel. Found a cooler full of baggies in the basement. Found a black book with numbers and initials. Found everything. Except the truth. When they pulled us all out into the yard, Dad didn't try to run. He looked calm. Almost too calm. At the station, he asked to talk to me alone. They let him. He sat across from me, cuffed to the chair, and said, "You're going to take the fall for this." I thought he was joking. I laughed. He didn't. "You're 17, he said. They'll go easy on you. It's your word against theirs. You say the drugs are yours. You say you tied the guy up because he tried to rob you. Self-defense. Juvenile record, maybe some time in juvie. That's it." I stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "Are you serious?" He leaned in, voice cold. "You want Riley in foster care? You want her to grow up in some shithole group home? You really think she'll survive that?" He knew exactly what button to push. I did what he said. Told the cops I was dealing. Said I was desperate for money for college. Said I found a supplier and it went bad. Said the guy in the garage came to steal the stash. That I freaked out. Said the gun was mine. That I hid it because I panicked. I cried just enough. Not too much. I played it like I'd watched him play it my whole life. They bought it. I got 6 months in juvenile detention and a long stretch of probation. Dad got 5 years for obstruction, weapons charges, and some minor possession they still pinned on him. Nothing major. Not enough for what he really did, but enough to get him away from Riley. She believed every word of his story. That he took the blame for me. That he was protecting me. She wrote him letters every week. Sent him pictures. Called him the best dad in the world. When she came to visit me in juvie, she cried and said, "I'm sorry you're in here. I'm so proud of Dad for standing up for you." I said nothing. When I got out, I moved in with our aunt in Springfield and didn't go back to that house. Riley stayed with family, kept writing him letters. She started high school, joined the track team, kept his picture in her locker. He got out early. Good behavior. Some bullshit about overcrowding. Riley posted a photo of her hugging him on Facebook. Her caption said, "My hero, my protector, my dad." I didn't comment, didn't like it, didn't even open the post. Then last Thanksgiving we were all at Aunt Marcy's. First family dinner in years. Riley had her hair curled and wore a yellow sweater, smiling like we were some happy family again. Dad gave a toast about second chances. Everyone clapped. Later that night, he leaned over to me when nobody was looking and said, "You did good. You kept your mouth shut. She still thinks I'm the hero. Let's keep it that way." He smiled like he won, and something in me snapped. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't over. He thought he got away with it. Thought I was weak. Thought I'd protect his lies forever. He was wrong. It was time to make him pay. I didn't sleep that night after Thanksgiving. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about how he smirked at me like he still had control. Like I was still 17. Like he could say anything and I'd just take it. The next morning, I told Aunt Marcy I had to get back to Springfield early. I hugged Riley, told her I was proud of her, and left before Dad even came downstairs. I drove the whole way home, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. That night, I opened my old high school notebooks and dug out the one thing I had never shown anyone. The small black USB drive I'd kept hidden in the spine of a fake chemistry binder. Inside were photos, receipts, recordings, everything I had secretly gathered during the 2 years before Dad's arrest. He thought I was just some quiet, angry teen keeping my head down. But I had been watching, listening, collecting. I didn't know what I was going to do with it back then. Maybe I thought I'd use it in court one day. Maybe I just needed proof I wasn't crazy. But now I knew exactly what to do. I sent an email, an anonymous tip to a local reporter named Hannah Pierce. She worked the crime beat at the Columbia Missourian. I remembered she once did a story on a drug bust tied to an underground gambling ring. She didn't shy away from dirty stories even when they involved local, respectable people. The email was simple. No name. No explanation. Just a subject line, "You missed this story 5 years ago." And I attached 3 files, a recording of my dad yelling about money and getting rid of problems. A photo of him holding cash in the garage, stacks of it with zip ties. A scanned copy of a receipt with his name on it, matching a bulk fertilizer order linked to the meth operation police busted 3 neighborhoods over. I clicked send. Then I waited. Days went by. Nothing. Riley called. Wanted to know if I was coming to her nursing graduation ceremony in December. I said yes. I meant it. But I didn't know how I was going to sit next to Dad again. A week later, the article dropped. Headline: New evidence suggests convicted landscaper was bigger player in Columbia drug network. It didn't name me, but it laid everything out. The cash businesses, the storage unit under a fake name, the connections to other arrests that never made sense until now. They even used a quote from one of the recordings: "If that guy talks, I'll bury him behind the damn mulch pile." I read that line 10 times. My phone rang less than an hour later. It was Riley. Her voice shook. Did you see this article?" I played dumb. "What article?" She sent me the link. I waited a few minutes, then called her back. "Holy shit," I said. "You think it's real?" She was quiet. Then she said, "That's Dad's voice." I stayed quiet. "He lied to me," she whispered. "He said he wasn't involved in anything. He said he took the fall for you because you made one dumb mistake." I almost told her the truth then. I came close. But I couldn't do it yet. Not over the phone. Instead, I said, "You should talk to him. Ask him what's real." She hung up. The next day, I got a voicemail from my dad. His voice was cold. "I don't know what you did, but you better fix it. You think you're smart, but you're not. You still need me to keep your secrets. Don't forget that." He still thought he had control. But that voicemail? That was gold. I sent it to the reporter. 3 days later, another story dropped. This one had his voice transcript, word for word. And it added a new twist: tax fraud. The IRS was apparently already sniffing around his landscaping business. The tip I sent gave them a reason to dig deeper. Suddenly, his little empire was crumbling. But it wasn't enough. I still hadn't told Riley. And I still hadn't said the words that would destroy him for good. Riley didn't speak to me for a week after the article with the voicemail came out. I figured she was trying to sort through it on her own. She was the kind of person who always wanted to believe the best in people, especially our dad. Meanwhile, Dad went into full panic mode. I heard from Aunt Marcy that he stopped showing up to work. The guys who used to run jobs for him were calling the house, angry, confused. One even showed up at her porch asking if she knew where Frank was. She called me right after, scared. I told her to call the police if anyone came around again. Then I called Dad. He answered with a grunt. "You brought this on yourself," I said. "You could have kept your head down." His voice dropped low. "You think you're some kind of hero now? You're not. You're still a screw-up who needed me to clean up your mess." That's when I said it. I was the one who called the cops that night. Not the neighbors. Not a stranger. Me. Silence. You told me to take the blame. I did. But I never forgot. I kept everything. And now everyone's going to know exactly who you are. He hung up. That night, I got another call. This time from Riley. "I went to the house," she said, her voice small. "Dad's place. I wanted answers." I sat down. My stomach dropped. I found a box in the basement under the old freezer. It was full of pictures. Women. Girls. Some looked scared. Some had bruises. And some had notes on the back. Names. Ages. My skin went cold. I called the police. They came and took it. One of the officers said it's part of a bigger investigation now. They think he was involved in something worse. Trafficking maybe. Or blackmail. I don't even know. I stayed silent. Riley kept going. "Why didn't you ever tell me any of this? You knew, didn't you? You always knew he wasn't the man I thought he was." I almost told her everything. I wanted to, but I didn't want to destroy her all at once. So I said I knew enough to stay away. And to protect you. She broke down crying. "He lied to me my whole life," she whispered. I looked up to him. I loved him. I felt something crack in my chest. I did too. Once. There was more in that basement, I was sure of it. I knew what he was capable of. But the cops had the house now, and he was already being watched. It should have been enough. But then something happened that made me realize we weren't done yet. 2 days later, I came home from work and my front door was cracked open. Inside, my living room was torn apart. Cushions cut. Bookshelves knocked over. Papers everywhere. And on the coffee table in red marker was one word: liar. He had broken in. And now I wasn't just exposing him. I was hunting him. After I found my apartment trashed, I didn't call the cops right away. I sat there in the middle of the mess, shaking, staring at that one word written in red: liar. He was unraveling. He knew the walls were closing in, and this was him trying to scare me into silence. The same way he used to scare Mom. The same way he tried to scare Riley. But he forgot something. I wasn't that kid anymore. I went to the police the next day, gave them the voicemail he'd left, plus the photos of my apartment. They took it seriously now. The box Riley found had already led to a larger investigation. There were women they were trying to locate. Some were missing. Some were dead. Some were too scared to speak. The FBI was involved now. And my dad was nowhere to be found. They started calling him a fugitive on the news. His photo flashed across the screen. Franklin Tate, 52, wanted for questioning in connection to multiple felonies, including potential trafficking and obstruction. I should have felt relief. But I didn't. Because I knew something the cops didn't. I knew where he might run. He owned a small cabin near Lake Ozark, something he kept off the books. I'd only been there once as a kid, but I remembered it. He used to call it the fallback plan. A place with no neighbors, no phone lines, no eyes. So I went there. I told no one. Not Riley. Not my partner. Not even the cops. I drove out there late at night with a flashlight, a baseball bat, and the USB drive still in my glove compartment. When I pulled up, there were no lights on. The place looked abandoned. But I knew better. I pushed the door open. Inside, it smelled like dust and gasoline. The windows were covered, but I heard the floor creak before I even stepped in. And then I saw him, sitting in the corner, holding a gun. He didn't lift it. He just stared at me like I was some kind of ghost. He looked old, sweaty, hollow. "You followed me," he said. "No," I said. "I hunted you." He gave a half smile like he still thought he had control. "You think this makes you better than me?" he asked. "You think you're some kind of hero now?" "No," I said. "But I'm not scared of you anymore." He stood up slowly, the gun still in his hand. "I should have left you with your mother," he said. "She was weak too. That was it." I stepped forward, fast, and swung the bat. It hit the wall next to his head hard. Not him. I didn't need to. He flinched like a coward. He dropped the gun. I picked it up, unloaded it, and threw the bullets into the fireplace. "I already gave the cops everything," I said. "They're on their way." "You're still protecting her," he sneered. "After all this time." "You used her," I said. "Used both of us." He sat down again, head in his hands. "What do you want from me?" he whispered. I walked over, pulled the USB out of my coat pocket, and dropped it on the floor in front of him. "I want you to know what it feels like," I said. "To be powerless. To be hunted. To have the truth destroy you like you tried to destroy everyone else." I turned and left him there. By the time the cops arrived 20 minutes later, he was still sitting in the same spot, just staring at the fire. They arrested him without a fight. Riley didn't speak to me for almost 2 months. When she finally did, she didn't say thank you. She didn't cry. She just said, "I wish you told me sooner." And I said, "I wasn't ready to lose you too. We're not close now, but we're trying." My dad is gone for good. The trial made headlines. The charges kept stacking up. Trafficking, assault, possession, tax fraud, kidnapping. He took a deal to avoid life but still got 32 years. He'll never see the outside again. I made mistakes too. I protected him when I shouldn't have. I waited too long to speak up. I let my sister live with lies for years. But I did what I could when it counted most. He tried to bury the truth, but I dug it back up. And now he's buried instead.